Hi there, and welcome to another devlog for Triangle. Today I want to cover crafting and how it is similar to other ARPGs and how it will be different. I am a big fan of ARPGs as well as factory games, so I want features coming in from both of those into hopefully a nice little cohesive system. And I want to start off by talking about how you would have both of those things in the same game. As in, if this is how the ship is, at the start, it will look a little bit similar to this, but smaller. I do imagine that the ship will be expandable to the sides and to the bottom, and that would help expand the factory space or factory floor, which is what I imagine is on the inside. Now, please excuse my terrible drawing. Drawing is definitely not one of my strengths, as you can see from my attempt here, but hopefully this conveys the idea of what could happen on the inside of the ship and on the outside. So each of these little squares, and I don't know how big this will actually be, but something like this could represent the grid onto which you could put factory buildings like smelters, constructors, and so on and so forth. And on the edges of the ship, we would have hard points of some form where you could put things like weapons, armor, and even propulsion, so that you could strafe to the left or right if you wanted to be able to have that little bit of functionality. The ship will start off with one thruster at the bottom so that the ship can go forward. And because the momentum is retained, you can move the ship around when you're moving, as you would have probably seen in one of the other devlogs. And what you can build on the inside are these. So you start off with the ore that drops from the asteroids, and then you can also get scrap, which will drop from the enemies, but you can also scrap items to get scrap back. You can put items to the scrapper to get scrap back. What you can do is you can take either of these, put them through the smelter, and that will give you ingots. And you can use the ingots through the constructor to create items. Now, this is really only true for the tier 1 items. When you go to higher tiers, I've been considering it taking the previous tier items plus some materials from the new tier. So to create tier 2 constructors, for example, you'd need to pass in some tier 1 constructors plus some tier 2 material. So that kind of a recipe system is what I'm mulling over just now. I haven't decided yet. We'll need to try it out. But that's roughly what I have in mind so far. Each of the items generated will have a random set of mods. That's similar to other ARPGs. But you decide which items you want to construct. That's more like factory games. Once you have an item, there are a couple of things you can do with it. You can put it in the disassembler, and what that will do is it will extract all of the explicit mods. The implicit mods are lost. What you can do with the mods is that you can put them through the forge to upgrade the mods or maybe re-roll the values for each of the mods. I haven't fully decided if the forge is a good fit, but I like the idea of being able to craft your mods and then attach them onto items. Once you have mods that you want to attach onto items, you would use the augmenter, and that you would pass in an item and the relevant mods, and that would combine them into a new item. All of these ones, the scrapper, constructor, disassembler, and the forge, take time to process each item. The augmenter does not. The augmenter is instant. The main reason is I don't want you, the player, to have to hand over an item that you're using, like your laser turret or whatever, while it's getting upgraded. So that one will be instant. I also briefly mentioned tier. So all of these things will have a tier, and the items that it generates will have a tier as well. and each tier gets better. One of the things I'm considering with tiers is that for an item, that its tier will determine how many mod slots it has. So a tier 1 item will have 1 mod slot, tier 2 item will have 2, and so on. I'll have to see how that kind of plays out before deciding if that will work or not. And I think that's about it. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.